Welcome. This is what is happening on the Sun today, the 2nd of June 2011. On this date, apparently nothing of scientific interest has ever happened. However, there's lots of interesting things happening on the Sun today. Since we last talked, the X-ray background has leaped up by a factor of 3, and we've had 6 C flares. You'll note that the first one is a fairly long duration event, and so it probably is associated with a coronal mass ejection, as we shall see later, but the other events seem to be small, sharp bursts, which is indicating that something is changing or growing somewhere. So let's take a look at the sunspots groups and see what's been going on. Region 1225 remains a single spot, but I think there's signs that it is decaying quite rapidly. 1229 and 1228 seem fairly stable. We have 2 new numbered regions trailing behind them, regions 1230 and region 1231. However, I think there's at least 1 and possibly 2 more regions mixed in there that have not been numbered. So regions 1226 and 1227 seem to be the regions that are undergoing the most change, and so are the likely source of the increased activity. Now let's take a look at the sunspot and magnetic movies from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. What we're looking for here to try to trace the origin of this increased activity is the emergence of new regions or changes in existing regions. In the movies, I don't see very much evidence of new large regions emerging. By changes in a region, I do not mean the decay of a region, which usually does not produce flares, but the motion of spots with respect to one another. And I think our best candidates are regions 1226 and 1227 in the southeast. Here is a blow-up of the magnetic field to show more detail. You can see the positive and negative polarities, represented here by white and black, are very much intermixed with one another, and that indicates complexity in the region, which is often a flare indicator. Now let's take a look at the transition region and coronal movies and see what's been going on there. In the transition region movie, we can see that region 1226 has been producing a series of eruptions. The interesting thing in the coronal movie is just how far these eruptions propagate away from the sunspot region. Now let's see if there are any coronal mass ejection. For that, we go to the chronographs on board the SOHO spacecraft. We can see in the C2 instrument that there have been several coronal mass ejections, including a beautiful one off the northeast limb. But I think off the southeast limb seems to be rather faint. So what's going on here? The fact is that the CMEs were launched somewhere near disk centre, which is not an optimum angle for the chronographs on the SOHO to see. But it is a good angle for the chronographs to see on the stereo spacecraft. So let's go to the stereo A spacecraft and see if there's a coronal mass ejection heading towards the Earth. The Earth is to the left in these 5 repeats of the stereo data. And indeed, there is a beautiful coronal mass ejection heading straight our way. Even if this coronal mass ejection does hit the Earth, it won't happen for several days. So we would not expect to see any effects of it yet in geospace, and indeed that's the case. The temperature, density and velocity of the solar wind has continued to decrease. The auroral zone is relatively quiet, and the KP index is still varying between 1 and 3. So in summary then, the sunspot number has risen to 107. The X-ray background has tripled to C2 level. The radio sun is at 114 solar flux units. Solar wind speed has dropped to 460 km per second with a density of less than 1 proton per cubic centimetre. And the KP index has remained quiet. My forecast for the next 24 hours then is that C flares are likely, actually probably almost certain. M flares are possible, but the chance of getting an X flare is still relatively low. The sunspot number will remain high. The chance of getting a CME is highly likely. And we have the possibilities of a couple of these coronal mass ejections causing a geomagnetic storm in the next day or two. For the slightly longer term forecast, we look to the composite image of the SDO and stereo data, and for several days there are no major regions due back, but they seem to be producing enough activity to keep us out of mischief for the time being. Starting a week from today, I'm going to be on travel. I'm hoping to find a substitute for me while I'm away, at least for part of the time, so stay tuned about that. One of the reasons I'll be away is I'm giving a talk in the UK at the Hampshire Astronomical Group, and anybody who lives in the UK is welcome to come along and listen to my talk. It's entitled Why is the Solar System Warming? It'll be held at 7:45 on Friday the 17th of June. You can go to the website listed below for more details. The links are listed in the description box below. There's an abstract and a short bio there for anybody who is interested. If you want more details about what's going on the Sun, follow some of the links in the description box below. If you want to see earlier editions of the Sun Today or my videos on global warming, go to my channel and they're all listed there. But today I'm going to start listing what I call featured videos, ones that are particularly relevant to what's going on the Sun, or one of my global warming videos. and if you're interested, go take a look at them. But otherwise, that's it for today. Keep safe. Bye for now.